had you been in a position to take the level of precaution that you would never get yourself into such situation and asking yourself multitudes of questions. But what we understand also, when Jesus sent his disciples, Jesus also sent his disciples 2 by 2. He says 2 by 2. You go 2 by 2. 2 by 2 for me, it's really deep, and because 2 by 2 is better than 1, is stronger than 1. But also, when we have to realize, it is because every single individual of these 2, or of those 2 disciples Jesus sent out, have the good intention. They each one of them has good intention to do great things. But Jesus found out that along the way they might be tempted, and their positiveness might be influenced. In order for you to stay on track, you need to have another helper next to you in order for you to never be disturbed or never be mesmerized or hypnotized by anything the devil is trying to bring on your way. So that's the reason why Jesus said you going out 2 by 2 is to strengthen the other one, that whenever one is talking to someone and to accept Jesus Christ, and you staying and you're praying in your heart, and so that God can protect us spiritually, that whatever the devil will have in his tendency to interfere in that conversation, it will not happen. It'll never happen, because there is a backup system that is praying that God will intervene for these conversation to us, a person. Conversation intended for that person to come to a transition from the darkness to the light, to come to an accomplishment, because you know that you're basically now talking to somebody, and you got a backup that is praying, and whenever you might be in a position that a person started to get weak, that you intervene with the Spirit of God, and that person will start praying. So we understand. I'm just opening that evidence to let you know that it is even deeper when you as a leader has to interfere, to expose yourself. To what situation are you going to expose yourself? You understand? Don't say you are a leader and you've been in the gospel for a million years and you are never going to get tempted. Jesus himself, God was tempted, but he was strong enough, amen, to walk out of that temptation victoriously. Even to death, he was strong enough to walk out of the grave. But I know that you've been in the gospel a million years. There's some of you are still baby in the gospel. You still need milk to drink. And some of you are eating great food and big and hard foods in the gospel. But it doesn't mean that you don't have to be prudent in some of the situations that need to be presented to you, because Jesus already know that we're all vulnerable at some point. But in order for you to walk in the strength that is the opposite of that vulnerability, you need to understand that we need an alternative, that is God and God himself. Amen. So we have to understand that. So we need to understand that a leader to never expose himself to the opposite sex, or a leader without an additional companionship. We need to prepare for spiritual warfare. This is the second point that I'm going to talk to you about, and as a matter of fact, I'm talking to you about. We need to always prepare for spiritual warfare. The first point was about how you're exposing yourself to somebody, whether that person may be your team member, or whether that person may be and the comedy of the church. But we also are going to talk about some spiritual matter that a leader is supposed to be always ready for spiritual warfare. Because if you might be called in the middle of the night, unexpected, unattended. You might be called in the middle of the night by any members that's been persecuted. Some of the things today, they want to make you believe that they're just Hollywood joke. But when people get possessed by demons, when people are being persecuted during the night, and they call you to pick up the phone and start praying for that person, and they call you even when you have to have the companionship of somebody else to go to Mrs. So and so, Mr. Big South's house, and in order for that person to be prayed for, but you don't know what you're gonna have, what you're gonna see in that house. You don't know what kind of fight are you going to have in that house. You don't know what kind of demons that you're gonna have in that house. It might be a light headache, or it might be a stomachache, or it might be a great spiritual warfare that you have to really fight with some demons. I'm telling you all of these, and I've been through all of this. Here they take everything for a joke, but I've been through all of this. People that is being possessed, I'm saying, by legions of demons. So you always need, it's a necessity as a leader. You always need to be in a position to always be ready for this whenever you have to face a situation like this. Because I remember that someone was in a similar position where that leader was in himself. He was in the companionship of even 5 members in his congregation, when they didn't know what was gonna happen, but somebody just gave them a phone call and say, "Pastor, I need you right now. And all of a sudden, that he take like 5 members with him to go to pray. But he know that during the day, it was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. During the day, his life was not totally balanced spiritually, if I have to say that, to be spiritually inclined. But his life was not balanced. He is the only one who knows what was going on in his life. I'm not going to say specific sin, because today we take a specific sin as being more sin than the other sin. But whatever we do, it is forgiven. But when you keep on living something, you're certainly not going to be qualified to leave a spiritual warfare, to fight in a spiritual warfare, calling on Jesus. But you already shut the door on Jesus when you keep on living a certain way, and during the day and later on you're prepared to go on a spiritual fight. It's not going to happen, because you need to live as a soldier. If you are a soldier, you need to live as a soldier. You always have to have that's the reason why the Lord has given us the weapons, all the armors of faith, the helmet of salvation, the sword of righteousness, the shield of faith, and all these things that we need to have them in the spirit always. Like we are Christian, we are soldiers. You are leaders, you are soldiers. You are somebody who come in the church for the first time, you accepting Jesus Christ, then you sitting down. You might not have the same maturity in the spirit to say that you are a qualified soldier to be put in the middle of a field to win a battle, but you are a soldier. You have to start learning. Somebody's going to start teaching you that you are a soldier, that you need to hold the armors of faith. Do you understand? So as they went to that place, and but the pastor at the door, he felt that he was an apostle, but he felt that he was not ready. He let the members of the church go, but he stays out. That rise a level of scandal in the church, because they after that situation, they truly want to know what was going on.